Jai Prabhuji. Welcome to our Retroprogressive Yoga Institute. My name is Swami Krishnananda, and this is a course about Prabhuji's Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Love. We've had a couple of introductory classes where we summarized what we will try to exercise, the attitude, the understanding, the approach of how we will enter into this course. Today we will be reading from the book. The first time we will be reading from the book, but even before that, for those who have seen the introductory classes, and if you are new, you can totally embark on the Bhakti Yoga course from this class, but we want to reiterate a few important points that set up the understanding where we're going, what we're trying to aim. Bhakti Yoga is one branch within the system of yoga, which is very authoritative within Hinduism. It's not that someone gets up one day and decide that we want to practice something new and we call it a yoga. It dates back to thousands of years ago and transmitted from guru to disciple, from guru to disciple, originates all the way back to Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, which is a very authoritative scriptures within Hinduism and Sanatana Dharma. The basic scriptures of Sanatana Dharma, which for example are like the Vedas and the Brahma Sutras, it also is Bhagavad Gita. All the branches of philosophies, you have accepted it as an authoritative one. So whatever is in the Bhagavad Gita is accepted as a basis of truth in all the past. In the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains to Arjuna about yoga, how it originates from him and passed down along, and how it is through passing down from one to another got lost within, let's call it in layman terms, through our ignorance we have polluted it and the essence of it has gotten lost. So Bhakti Yoga means that is one branch within the systemized yoga philosophy. It means that is when it originates from Krishna and passed along, it means that it needs to come from an authoritative figure, spiritual master, of course. That's how the system of that's how the Hinduism works. Spiritual masters, guru, how we know, can transmit yoga. Yoga is not an informational path. You can study, as we know, we will see today, Hatha Yoga, for example, do all kind of postures, but Hatha Yoga in its originality is meant for what the word yoga is, and that is union. Union is between you and what you come to do, and discovering yourself as what you are here to do in this life. And why do I explain this? I explain this because Bhakti Yoga, this book, I cannot transmit the Bhakti Yoga to you. The Bhakti Yoga can be transmitted by the words of a realized being, by the words of Prabhuji directly. Yes, a guru can transmit yoga as he is in full realization. And a disciple, which is somebody on his way, cannot do that. Because if I don't know the way, I cannot guide you to it. But what I can offer is teach or show, illustrate, exemplify how I have within my discipleship learned to read the words of my guru in a most beneficial way that I found possible for spiritual advancement. Now, the words of yoga and union and wisdom and spiritual masters and Hinduism are for one thing, to discovery of yourself. And so anything that we learn will always bring us back to ourselves, because the guru brings you back to yourself, because this is what you are searching for ultimately. But we sometimes get confused and want to study what is a different system, and that I cannot promise that I will help with. What I can help is reminding those tough reminders that are, this is about me within my search, and this is about you within your search. And what I understand the system of yoga to be is for you to come closer to knowing what is this thing that is called you or I. And how do I know that this is the correct way? It's because what I base my conclusion or understanding on will be found in the words of my guru, and that's also in the rest of the scriptures. Bhakti Yoga, Hinduism, philosophy and religions, we do not invent new things. And so Prabhuji says in his biography, and it's also stated in other places quite often, it's commonly, you can commonly find it. One of the things that he says, do not search for me, but search for yourself. It is not me that you need, because the only thing that really matters is you. What you yearn for lies in you as what you are here and now. And so, this means that whatever is offered by the spiritual master, which is also his writings, is intended for one thing, not to search for his words, his understanding, anything. It's to bring us closer to ourselves. And so this is the approach and the way that the course will take. So I cannot offer the transmission of yoga. That is only by an authoritative spiritual master. This is said by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and in other scriptures as well, but we will use this one also. That is direct infection. But what we can do is, because we are reading this book together, is learning how we use it only for the sole purpose of our spiritual journey. Okay? And I will not try to say what Prabhuji, or assume to say what Prabhuji meant, because that's an impossible. I'll explain to you why. Let's assume that consciousness is something quantifiable. It's not, but let's assume it is, from the perspective of a disciple, which is limited consciousness, trying to explain what the spiritual master or the self-realized or the totality of the scriptures say, which are abiding in unlimited consciousness. It is not possible. The limited could never assume to know what the unlimited, it cannot work. So that cannot happen. What we can again do, just as Prabhuji said, guide you to yourself, I can do in very minute quantities, help to say how we use Prabhuji's scriptures to look in ourselves. And we're speaking on the path of yoga. It's a heavy one. The path of bhakti is the path of love, and so this means we are going to enter in inquire about what love is. We inquire using the book of Prabhuji, but we're looking in ourselves. That is designated, the path of yoga, the path of bhakti is designated for that union through the inquiry of what is love. always back to ourselves. I will skip the preface as this is Prabhuji's biography, and I read it in our first class. It's beautiful. It's my favorite, but we will skip it because we want to get to the writing itself. I'm going to the introduction. Many speak about love, write emotional poems, and compose romantic songs. However, few actually love. Many embark on passionate affairs, get married, have children, and eventually get divorced, all without ever having truly loved. Using people to ease the pain of loneliness, many seek to fulfill an inner void with another's embrace. Yet very few dare to set out on the adventure of discovering the profound mystery of the human heart. Many people see love as a means of pleasure and expect to have the fortune of stumbling upon it. However, very few are interested in what love actually is. So this is just the very first few sentences within the introduction. They are heavy. They are saturated in consciousness, teachings, in guidance. And it's not for the faint-hearted. Why? Because, as we previously read, the Guru sends you back to yourself. Sends you back to yourself is saying, we're talking about love. Let's understand what love is. Maybe you'll discover that you never loved. Maybe you discover that you don't even know what love is about. Maybe everything that you wanted in life is only to take and go and have passionate relationships and have fun and pleasures and all these things. Maybe we've never known what love is. Now, it's heavy. And there is something beautiful, and I'll show you now what I mean, because we are not yet situated in the recognition of ourselves as existential beings. It means that we are embarking on a road to understand what is what is the obstacle for that. And when we use the path of love, Bhakti Yoga, it's sort of a way, let's say, of taking something as it is right now and beginning to purify it. The first thing you need to know when you want to purify something is what is impure. Impure is not bad. These are not bad words, because what the Guru wants and what the scriptures want and what the system of yoga wants and is designated is not to tell you you're good or bad. It's to tell you, look at things and learn what is truly valuable in life. And on the way, you need to discard of anything that holds you back from knowing that. So obviously, when you start, you need to understand what we're talking about, love, and what is the distance between you and love. And since this is a journey of self-investigation, you only find that in one way or another, it's you. Now, it's not so much, it sounds like, oh, we're looking for what's wrong with us and everything, but this is not the way. This is not true. This is not true. This is helpful. I remember, I'll give you an example of what I mean. The system of yoga can be transmitted by the Guru instantly. That is possible. But more often than not, this is a journey that we embark on, and we must be focused in understanding that the focus is ourselves, our spiritual life, our inner world that is confused and convoluted. And so, just like when you learn something new, I remember I used to take a lot of tennis lessons through my life. I just like tennis, and so that's what I did. And so the first thing that you go and the instructor shows you is you start and you do things according to your instinct or what you saw or what you think is right, and then the instructor comes and begins to show you. Now you can take it and say, no, he's doing everything I'm doing is wrong. No, but you're learning. If you don't know how to hold a tennis racket in the right way, because there is the most optimal way of holding the racket or hitting the ball, and mostly we make initially the same kind of mistakes, and somebody comes and show you you're not wrong, you're not bad, but if you want to advance within your learning what is how to play tennis, you need to follow certain things that can be improved for that. And so anything within the writings of Prabhuji always will be full circle. Full circle will be starting from yourself back to yourself. It's starting like that, telling you, okay, look here, let's find what's not working right, and will always end. Let's say this, it will always end in something transcendentally beautiful. Let me prove you that. We started the first few words. I'm going to the end of the book. So I'm taking us to the end of the book because this will be a full circle that begins with some investigation into kind of what is not functional and leads us to it's not goal, but the transcendental beauty as it is, through the eyes of somebody who crossed this path and journey into that realization. And let's see how we begin with the hard questions and where we are being guided to. Bhakti yogis are, above all, beings of watchfulness, because attention always accompanies love. To the degree that we love, our attention arises spontaneously without any effort on our part. Love awakens us to life because the more aware we are, the more alive we are. Love leads us to life, which is God. Our lack of observation makes us sleepwalkers and impels us to live irreligiously. In contrast, authentic bhakti yogis are beings of awareness because remaining attentive and meditative are essential qualities for accessing reality. Awareness means observing what is as it is, without interpretations or projecting our ideas, concepts, and conclusions on what we observe. The closer our attention, the subtler the phenomena we can observe. Scriptures, beliefs, ceremonies create the essential conditions, but ultimately, no one and nothing external can help us develop greater awareness. A spiritual master can only open our eyes with the torch of wisdom, but he cannot see for us. Observation can only be learned from within oneself. Our first steps on the path of bhakti will be accompanied by the notion of a God who created the world, who is separate from us and lives in paradise. As long as we perceive existence as an objective reality within time and space, we will surely relate to a personal God. However, at the highest stages, we awaken to the reality that God is not someone or something, but everyone and everything. God does not exist, but is existence itself. and existence is God. God is the absolute truth. He is life. He is the only thing that really is. So when we take the initial part of the introduction, it kind of shows us this is where we're situated, and this is where we're heading towards. And whatever is in between will be our journey. And let's go back to the introduction, what we were reading. First sentence. Many speak about love, write emotional poems, and compose romantic songs. However, few actually loved. So, I'm just going to take this first sentence and say something. The words of the Guru, especially in the writings, are condensed and heavy and saturated in consciousness. No word should be overlooked because it's such a great doorway. And so when Prabhuji says that many speak about love, but few actually love, this is what I understand that I should look into. Many times as human beings, we have the tendency to live fractured. What we speak about and how we live can be completely different, right? We have how we like to see ourselves and how we are. We have certain ideals that we would like, but certain patterns of behavior, needs, wants, concepts, ideas, all the things that we saw, that we read at the end. And that is a dichotomy. The first thing that Prabhuji is saying, only in that first sentence, is we must learn. I understand. Yes, this is not. It doesn't mean that this is what he is saying, but this is what I learned. And if it is useful within my spiritual path for evolution, it has to be true. If it's something that make me feel like, oh yeah, I got everything, I understand, I know, there's some error in it, because the only goal, as we said, is our spiritual progress. And so we must learn to understand. We speak about things that we don't always know. And there should be, for the spiritual progress, an alignment of how we speak. What we speak on is how we live. Because this encompasses a lot. First is Satyam, right? Satya means truth. You want to be truthful, not by even towards yourself. We need meaning. If we speak about the topic of love, I need to understand what love means, and then be able to look in myself and see, have I ever loved? When I talk about love, and all of us as human beings talk about love, do we live according to that which we speak? And if this is the first sentence, it means this is the first alert. This is the first warning light. Look at yourself, what you have in your head, how you see yourself in your head, and how you live, and how you would like to be is not always matching. And so we need to recognize this and learn that we speak, human beings, so much about love in all kinds of relationships. But maybe we only speak about it and never really loved. And why is that? the following will show us, what follows will show us. Because many, and I put the word because, many embark on passionate affairs, get married, have children, and eventually get divorced, all without ever having truly loved. Using people to ease the pain of loneliness, many seek to fulfill an inner void with another's embrace. Yet very few dare to set out on the adventure of discovering the profound mystery of the human heart. So these are very, very packed teachings. The mystery of the human heart. The mystery of the human heart is something that has nothing to do with anyone else. It's your own. And Prabhuji says again, do not search for me, search for yourself. What you yearn for lies within you as what you are here and now. So, what do I find there? I find there a teaching that shows us we're so much busy on the objective world. And the objective world is, in spiritual life, can also be the guru. And in life as we know it, is the others. And we are so afraid from that subjective search, which will only lead us, as we read in the end of the book, to the most beautiful transcendental, to transcendental beauty, to existential beauty. But we are so afraid to embark on that journey, which means because it begins with a question. And I don't know if it end, I will not say that it will end with an answer, because answers is not what we are looking for. We are looking for the purpose of life always, understanding what this life is about. Truth, not answers. Answers is not something that we want. And so, if we are afraid from our loneliness, it's because we do not know the mystery of the heart. The mystery of the heart will be, as Prabhuji even said at the end of the book, it will not be, even if the path is on the path, it will be a worship of God, because I need to learn something that I still do not know through that path, through that journey. God is everything and everything is God, but not as words. These are not supposed to be sentences that we speak on. They're supposed to be, like we said, like Prabhuji said, the first sentence. What we speak on, if I speak about enlightenment, and I have no recognition about enlightenment, what am I actually doing? If I speak about love, and I've yet to love, and we will learn on the journey that love, like he said, love is the state of the Bhakti yogi, or the Bhakti, or the Bhakta, and as a realization of everything is God and God is everything, but not as just, okay, we're going to speak about that, this is what we know the ultimate truth and goal of life to be, and now we're just using words. No, this is to lead you to that. To lead you to that as a recognition, as an existential recognition. And unless we are situated in that existential recognition, we are stuck in the first sentence, which says, many speak about, but few actually loved. And so, this introduction is difficult because it sends us to look into our human mechanisms, which, as we said in the first introductory classes, are so survival based. And Prabhuji says here in the book, in the introduction, using people to ease the pain of loneliness. Maybe our entire relationships are based on that, and that we call love. These are difficult questions if you are afraid to discover truth. The path of yoga and the path of the spiritual journey is for brave ones who are putting themselves as the subject of investigation. And through the words of the Guru that originate from the unlimited consciousness, right, as a state of realization, from, or let's say this, from somebody who crossed the path, is giving you, as the stepping stones, or as we said in the introductory class, these are maps that we need to learn how to read. So the brave one, a disciple, is somebody who's brave because he's questioning himself as everything he knows himself to be, and then trying to uncover what actually remains there. And we can see that this process, it can sound a little threatening, but the end is those beautiful words that Prabhuji said, right? I'll read them again. Our first steps on the path of Bhakti will be accompanied by the notion of a God who created the world, who is separate from us and lives in paradise. As long as we perceive our existence as an objective reality within time and space, we will surely relate to a personal God. However, at higher stages, we awaken to the reality that God is not someone or something, but everyone and everything. God does not exist, but is existence itself, and existence is God. God is the absolute truth. He is life. He is the only thing that really is. And so the journey in its totality takes us from where we are situated, and the spiritual masters, they speak to human. This is actually really beautiful because this is consciousness expressed, meaning it's to the general public, let's say, not public, but it's, the word is, can be generalized for an entire human beings, but they have, because it's from consciousness, it has individual guidance within itself too. Because if you approach the words, if you engage with it properly, it will show you your personal path. And the path is from discovering what stands in our way when speaking of love, to recognizing what love is, to knowing what is love. And the difficult questions emerge initially because to get from point A to wherever it is your destination, and I don't know that we have a certain destination, but let's say we want to get somewhere, we need to understand where we are. And the Guru always sends you back to yourself. Look at yourself, where you are situated. You can progress on a path by knowing where you are currently located, but you need to be able to recognize that, and that will always send you back to yourself. Even the entire things that we do that can be ritualistic within the Bhakti Yoga is meant for only one thing. As we said in the beginning of the class, yoga, the path of union. the path of transcendental union that originated with Krishna and is for your spiritual journey. That's the entire thing. And we see that because the enlightened being is transcendentally situated, you can see how just by using the first few sentences and the ending of the book, it's exactly the same thing. The Guru, the enlightened being, the self-realized, will never say anything different than what is in the highest scriptures, the most authoritative one. And we see it's exactly the same. The system of yoga and union, transcendental wisdom given for the sake of evolution of the human beings. And so with this, we will finalize our first class. As always, Jai Prabhuji.